everything I do is a story of my life. I'm the author and finisher of everything that I do. I'll be damned if I don't make any of my dreams come true. I wanna live and just be free. Don't want the media after me.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be about my experience living in New York City. So I have some notes here. If you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. I can't remember everything off the top of my head. So to begin, a little bit of a backstory. I never really had the desire to live in New York City. It was just kind of thing that was like brought to my attention, and I kind of just took a chance on it. I visited New York a bunch of times. I used to go around like a little bit before Christmas time to just go down there and sightsee, see like the Rockefeller tree and the ice skating rink, and just do all the touristy stuff every year. And I absolutely, like, I was in awe. Like, I was probably like in my early teens, pre-teens, and I was just in awe. I love the city. It was just seeing all the big and bright, the big buildings, the bright lights. It was like amazing, like as a little kid. But and I would have never thought that years later down the road that I will actually be going to school in New York. My school was called LIM College, which stood for Laboratory Institute of Merchandising. It was a fashion school. Not only was it a fashion school, it was a business school as well. My major that I took was visual merchandising, which is basically setting the garment presentation in retail stores. It also deals with like dressing mannequins and doing the marketing in the store as well, amongst other things. Visual merchandising, you can take it through different avenues, not only in retail but also other positions, interior design, art director, amongst a lot of things. So I lived in New York for 3 years. I was about 19. The school, I came from an HBCU. The HBCU, of course, like had a campus and stuff, and coming from an HBCU to the school I was at, it wasn't a campus at all. The school was just, our classes was just within a city. They did have a dorm, but the dorm was like separate. I had to catch the train. It was about like a 25-minute train ride from the door to like where my classes were. But it was just a whole different vibe coming from an HBCU. You just had kids like that dressed the part like each day. You had kids with their Chanel and Hermes bags coming to school. It was definitely nothing I haven't seen yet. It was nothing I've seen before, but nonetheless, just being surrounded by, I mean, these kids were like really smart and had really smart opinions, like just about life in general. Very opinionated and outspoken individuals that I was surrounded by. But I feel that my school, they really prepared me for like the real world, in the fashion and business aspects. Our curriculum, it was, of course, we had business courses, and then we kind of had like the fashion courses, which was like tied to our major. So we did a lot of we had to do a lot of hands-on projects in school, and we also worked a lot on the computer with like the Adobe Suite programs. So at my school, internships were a required part of our curriculum. So having a fashion internship, it really reminded me of my favorite movie, Devil Wears Prada. I feel like that's all probably fashion students' favorite movies. That's also where I got my Instagram name from, Devil Wears Diamonds, but it really put me in that perspective of like that movie. But nonetheless, my internships were a good experience. One other thing that my school set us up with was Fashion Week, and it was definitely an experience that I would never forget. Amongst some of the fashion shows that I went to was Yeezy Season 3, Eckhouse Lotta, Ravini Bridal, Ramona Cabeza, Reem Acra, Couture Fashion Week, Style Fashion Week, and Kia Style 360, and also Kimora Lee Simmons. It was definitely a fun time because not only did I volunteer, I also got to watch these shows as well. And also another like cool thing that I got to see was down the street from my dorm. My dorm was like on 97th, and down the street actually was where the Met Museum is, which is also where the Met Gala is held. So I remember, I think it was like my first semester there, me and a friend went to actually go down there and like see the red carpet and like see the celebrities come in and stuff, and I thought that was like the coolest thing at the time. So my living situation in New York, I did dorm. I had roommates, and for the most part of my like college experience, I had pretty good roommates. It was up until my last semester where I just had a roommate that I just could not agree with her living style, so I kind of had to like get up out that room. It was just a mess. But other than that, all my roommates were pretty fine. I didn't have any crazy psychotic roommates like that movie The Roommate, thank God. But you kind of just get used to living in a dorm. And one thing that I did have to learn in New York was budgeting. I had to learn how to spend my money because in New York it is very expensive, obviously. I really like noticed how one thing that told me like this place is like crazy expensive was a box of cereal. A small box of cereal, not even a family size, was like $6, and I was like, this place. I also worked in retail jobs for the majority of the time that I was in school. But as a college student, you still have to budget. You can't do like crazy spending, especially in New York with only a part-time job, I feel like. But as far as like cost of Metro, you either had to get a monthly, which was $116, or a weekly. When I first came to New York, I did the monthly pass, but that was like up until I lost my Metro card. But the good thing about that, if you pay with a card, you can get a refund for like the rest of the time that wasn't used on that card. But I remember one time, I think I paid with cash. I don't know if it was with the weekly or a monthly, but I remember I didn't get my money back, and I was pretty mad. You often, well, I guess not all, but I've lost my Metro cards like a couple times, so you really gotta be careful with that. As far as like getting around in New York City, you have to catch the subway. The subway is the main means of transportation in New York. It is definitely an experience. Crowded, like you just have no personal space on the subway, especially like either just during the rush hour times. No, very crowded. You gotta get used to people breathing on you. Like, it's just something you have to get used to. And a lot of people just gets really angry, like especially if you're like in the way. There's just this rule where like if you're going up or down the escalator, if you're to the right is the people that stand, to the left is the people that likes to walk and keep their hustle and bustle going on. With the trains, you kind of get used to it. A lot of people say like the subway systems in New York are kind of like hard to read, but I feel like Google Maps is your best friend. Even though Google Maps is like, it gets annoying sometimes, especially like if you're walking. Like I will always go in the opposite direction that I need to be walking in. But as far as like the trains and getting somewhere, it's kind of really simple to follow. You just really got to pay attention to whether you're going uptown, downtown. That's where you can kind of get like on the wrong train. You got to pay attention to your signs, and like if there's I don't know, if there's like construction, sometimes the trains will switch, and or they'll skip stops, and it's just something like you have to pay attention to. But other than that, I didn't get lost a lot. It was just like sometimes I would like catch the wrong train. Also, another way of getting around is walking. You're going to do a lot of walking in New York. Like, walking in New York, that's how you get your exercise. Honestly, it's a lot of walking. I mean, the blocks are pretty short, the avenue's a little bit longer, but it's not as bad as, like, 10 blocks isn't as crazy as it might sound to someone. It's New York, so their blocks are pretty short. I think the most blocks I've walked, not to get somewhere, but just to walk for fun, was about from 97th to 77th and back. So it's about 20 blocks, but it went by pretty quick. I never really caught taxis in New York. I feel like taxis are just too expensive. Like, if you're only driving for not even 5, if you're driving for 3 minutes, the taxi meter will already be at $8, and it's just, I think that's just absurd. So if I did like ride in a car, I would either do Get, which I loved because it was $10 flat rate anywhere in Manhattan. If you were in the Manhattan area, luckily I was, because that's where I was staying. That's really all I went to. I really didn't travel to the other boroughs as much, so that was like a plus if you lived in Manhattan. But then they kind of merged with another app, so I didn't really use it as much. But of course I used Lyft and Uber, and with Lyft and Uber I was, well, for the most part I would get either the Lyft line or the Uber pools, which would be a cheaper fare. As far as the people in New York, like, there's a stereotype like all that people in New York are rude. Yes, you do get that. Like, people don't say excuse me, like they'll bump into you, keep walking. Like, that's just the New York way. They do have their accents. Like, you can definitely tell a New York accent, what a New York accent is. New York people, they're very fashionable. Like, I can tell like what a New York person would dress like. You either have like your business suits, or you just have like this like all black glasses, like booties, like just very chic. Like, the way New York people dress is like a chic vibe. Especially if you go down to Soho, you'll definitely see that, and you'll definitely get that vibe. And like, what I've noticed like with being in New York is like things that I'll kind of only maybe see like on a TV show or in a movie. It's like, if someone like wants to hang out, like they'll actually say like, oh, let's grab a cup of coffee, or let's go out for drinks, or let's grab dinner. And I think that's like really good. Like, people actually want to like go out and like do stuff. Also, like, what I've seen in New York is people protesting a lot. That's also something that I only seen in movies, was protests and people going on strikes from their jobs. Another thing about New York, well, when I was in school, I would be in school from August to May, and I would come home during the summer. So you would get a little couple months of the warm weather, maybe like a month or two of the warm weather, and then it'll start those harsh winters. Winters are so brutal out there, and it's especially when you have to travel by foot and like train. Like, it's just, you have to bundle up. You cannot be cute. Like, you have to wear a coat, you have to wear a hat, you have to wear a scarf, you have to wear gloves, or you will literally freeze. Like, I'm really not a cold weather person, so it was just like, oh my gosh, like, you just didn't want to do anything besides, well, I didn't want to do anything besides during the winter months, go to class, come back, because it's just too cold. I mean, it's just too cold. Like, so what I would do like in my free time if I wasn't at school, work, or doing an internship, one main thing that I really did was like enjoy the nightlife a lot. Like, a lot. I didn't really go out to bars. I went out to clubs. When I first came to New York, I was 19. So at the time, the people like that I met and stuff, like they always used to go out, and I was like, I really like couldn't go out with them at first, but like that semester after that came, I was like, I'm not but to be sitting here while everyone else goes out and has fun. So I ended up getting a fake ID, which is pretty funny. It was from Florida. It worked. It worked at majority of places. Like some places it didn't work, but majority of times that I went out, it worked. Like it was just a thing that people did in New York. Like everyone had a fake ID at the time. So I was like, hey, I'm not about to be sitting being bored. So I got a fake. So my favorite clubs that I went to were Griffin. Like that club was so poppin'. Every time, good time, every time I went. But it closed down, which was sad. So another place that I really enjoyed was Haas. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Haas or House, but I always called it Haas. Again, it was a great time every time I went in there. And what's also big like in the nightlife is like promoters and stuff. So with the promoters, like they'll get you in for free and they'll get you a free table with drinks. But I didn't get to go. Well, I always wanted to go, but I never got the chance to go to. Was like One Oak and Up and Down. And well, Up and Down was like the club that all of like the celebrities went to when they were in town, but I just like never, I don't know, I never really pushed to like really go there. But what I did hear like one time, especially like with One Oak, is like they are really big on appearances, and if you're not like cute, like sometimes they won't let you in. But I mean, it's kind of like rude. But one thing that I did like about New York's nightlife is that everyone dressed up and everyone dressed and pressed. They looked the part. Like I never seen no girls coming there with like jeans to the club, nothing. Like everyone dressed nice going out. So that's why I really like enjoyed New York's nightlife. I think that's like one of the top like best things about New York to me. So eating out in New York, so I mean I was a college student, so I really didn't eat out as much because that stuff adds up. So like when I first came to school, I only made like easy stuff, and then I kind of like gradually started cooking, but I didn't really get to go out and eat, and which was it was surprising because I'm a foodie and I always like used to go out and eat, but I kind of had to dial it back and save money, so I mostly like stayed in to eat. But if I did go out, well also too, like if I did go out and eat, I would only go to the places that like were at home that I already knew. Like I didn't really venture out into like different New York restaurants, and that's kind of like something I regret. But also like I found a lot of vegan options out there. One of my favorites was Seasoned Vegan in Harlem. So good. It's like soul food. It just tastes like regular soul food. It's so good. Also like Terry, that was like in Midtown. They had great sandwiches. And V Life, that was by Madison Square Garden. Shopping, my favorite places to go shopping was in Soho. It was like the strip on Broadway. It had like all the stores I shopped at: Forever 21, Zara, H&M, Mystique Boutique, Necessary Clothing. It just had everything. It was just kind of just like a one-stop shop, just going up and down that strip. I also would go to Herald Square, but Herald Square would kind of get, it was a little bit too touristy and it would always be packed over there. Another experience that I've had in New York that I always wanted to do was see the ball drop. So it was one semester, like we really didn't have any plans, and we was like, okay, well let's just go see the ball drop, just do it. So we left at like 11:30. We got downtown, like, well, not downtown, Times Square, like 11:58, so we were like rushing through the train station, trying to hurry up and get there before the ball dropped. And we were like at the back of where the ball dropped, so we seen the fireworks, but we didn't get to see the actual ball drop, of course, because people get out there early and no one was standing out there that early. With my experience in New York, what has it taught me? It definitely taught me responsibility. It taught me budgeting. It taught me how to live on my own. It was just a great opportunity to be in, because I feel like a lot of people aspire to make it to New York, and it was just great that I got the opportunity to live there at the age of 19. I also would say that I wish I would have met more genuine people out of the experience. Like I said, my school, a lot of people commuted. It wasn't really like a family type of feel, like how I kind of got at coming from an HBCU. So I really wish I would have met more lifelong friends coming out of that. I did meet one. When I come back to New York, I want to actually be able to enjoy New York, because before I had class and I had to focus on class, like I couldn't just have fun all the time. So thank you for listening to my video. If you haven't already seen my LA video, I will link the video down below. And also please like and subscribe to this video and to my channel. Bye.